Friends, we have founder and CEO Ashish Gupta. He has spent 9 years at Shell across 6 continents like India, Australia, Canada, and Gabon. Right now, he is running a very lucrative, I would suppose, business because there are only very few number of people into this sector. So he's running MyPetrolPump, which is an online platform to provide a delivery of diesel in safe and efficient manner. So welcome to our show, Ashish.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's a wonderful Saturday afternoon, and yeah, would love to entertain you as much as possible.
So, can you please, enlighten our viewers, and also we are also running portal, nffpost.com. So we also have readers. So, what is your business all about, and can you just tell us the business model also, because it's quite different from the other startups which we all see.
Yeah, so my petrol pump is quite unique in a sense. It's not just solving the problems for, so to say, users, people like you and me, or businesses. It's also solving India problems. If you put it in that context. And when I say India problems, I'm talking about the lack of infrastructure that is required to serve the current demand of petrol, diesel, CNG, or any form of energy, and also the slower growth in the infrastructure that would be required to build in next 20 years to serve the increasing demand, right? And that is where my petrol pump comes in. That we are solving today's problem where the users are at an inconvenience of procuring fuel for their requirement, but at the same time putting ourselves to address a bigger problem 10 years from now, when India will be consuming almost 1.5 times of the the energy required that is today. So overall, we are quite excited in that aspect that what we are building is not just for solving today's problem, but also positioning ourselves to help India, to help users, to help communities, businesses in long run.
So how many such competitors, I may use, it's a bad word actually. How many competitors are there right now, and how you are tackling, especially under this coronavirus pandemic?
Yeah, competition is not bad. We never perceive competition as bad. Competition is actually good as long as it's healthy competition. Competition does push every players in the game to do better, to do more effective business, to also develop more innovations, to be at the forefront or to be at the leadership position. And that is what our focus has been from last 3 years. That we said that what we are building has to be far better than what's available in the market, whether it's a current way of managing the fuel procurement, which is with the use of fuel stations, or even some of the competitors. And we have spent a lot of time, almost 3 years, building that tech that is required to deliver the last drop of fuel safely, secure, in a much more transparent way. Also transitioning a lot of businesses and customers, into using of the tech infrastructure that we have developed that will also help them to sort of manage their requirement in a more efficient way. There are competitors who are also building the products to serve the needs in a similar business model, if not same. And that is what our motivation, I would say. Then having competition, there is a push for us that we need to do more, we need to do better. We never get complacent. So competition is always good. It's not just for us, but in fact in any sector. Competition does not allow you also to become lazy and complacent. And you always are pushed to your toes to do better. So we perceive competition in a very positive manner, and I would also say that competition is actually better. Overall competition is better.
You were talking of motivational factor also. I still remember initially when you started, then there was some problem, then some problems were there, then there was a stoppage of your functioning. That was quite, very, what do you say, problematic condition. So that problems would have, motivated you. Can you just tell us very briefly what was that problem and how did you come out?
Yeah.
How did you get motivated?
Sure. So, before I talk about the problem, I would say, I am of a firm believer, if you are doing the right thing and if you know in your heart and mind that you're doing the right thing, no problem is big enough to stop you. Okay? And if you're clear that you're doing the right thing, you just continue to focus upon what is important to get it done rather than get distracted. Problems are, we are trying to change the status quo. We're trying to change the inertia of the current ecosystem, which existed in form of just the fuel stations through which the users procure fuel. And we're trying to bring a new paradigm shift to where we're bringing that fuel station at the doorsteps of the user. It was unprecedented. So there is a natural inertia, and because of that change of inertia, there is a natural resistance. And that is what we had to manage it in the beginning. And I would say it was more of a perception rather than any cause that would create any trouble in the sense of safety, security, or the whole the business ecosystem. So it just we were never discouraged or demotivated with those things, but because we knew we were doing the right thing and ultimately it will pay off, and it did. It paid off much better than what we expected. We are in the sector where government has moved to bring a reform in the policy in the fastest historically petroleum sector, and what we are building. If you look at whether it's a mobility space of Ola, Uber, or whether it's e-commerce space where Flipkart, Amazon, and these guys, it took for government for more than 5-6 years to bring a policy reforms. Versus in our case, there's a policy within 2 years. So there is definitely the need of the hour is also understood by the government, and I would also say credit to my team who did fantastic job in repeat push to the government to bring these reforms, and fortunately government recognized it. Also, invited us as an advisory part of the advisory member of the PPAC, to help them bring that policy changes, and to sum it up again, I would say, if you know that you're if you believe you're doing the right thing, just do it, don't get distressed. It's part and parcel of life, and you may come in against similar challenges maybe later also. But if you are sure that you're doing the right thing, just keep doing it.
Did you ever, one last regarding this only, did you ever feel that there will be a lot of bureaucratic, government is different, bureaucratic hurdles will be there, or did you face any bureaucratic hurdles before going to the ministry or the minister himself? I think Dharmendra Pradhan was there. Was there any bureaucratic, that is a big issue everywhere in democracy?
Yeah.
Briefly.
Yeah, I would say, it's part and parcel, maybe in India, this thing is verbalized as a bureaucracy, okay? But I would say it's just, these are the initial challenges you have to face, You can name it whether it's a bureaucratic challenge, or if you happen to be in China, it could be another form of challenge. It may not be bureaucratic, it will be altogether different. But ultimately, these are the challenges when you're trying to challenge to change the inertia, to change the status quo. And those challenges, it's just you have to know, how to address it, and in the interest of your venture, and in the interest of the ecosystem also.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So you mentioned, let it be a conversational. So you mentioned about the Chinese factor. Chinese, if I think, or everybody, what generally people think is regulations. So do you find any, the government of India also, you feel that the regulations are there are some regulation problems you're facing from the Indian government, or would you like to suggest some improvement in that?
So we are not facing any regulation problem, at least as far as our venture is concerned. But I would say, I'm too small to suggest a massive reform. But it's a known factor that the pace at which, especially our current government or even the previous government, irrespective of whoever is leading, but it's basically the whole system, the governance system, is very slow. And if this has been recognized also by the the people in the government. But I don't know, why it can't be expedited, but I'm sure there must be, like you said, bureaucratic challenges and etc. Yeah, so if the regulatory reforms can be expedited, it will help everyone, not just the startup ecosystem, not just to the innovators, but also to the lot of small, medium SMEs, to the individual people like you and me also, because we are all part of, or we are all connected with this, as a country. And so there is a definitely need of the hour for the, increasing a pace in the governance, so to say, of bringing policy reforms, because most of our policies are very aged, decades or even colonial old, most of it. In our case, even the petroleum rules, Petroleum Act was drafted in 1934. Okay, now there are like 3 generations, right? So, but I would say that there is a need of the hour if we really want to, grow fast. Then are going to be a lot of new innovations. But to support these innovations, there has to be policies and reforms in the same space as these new innovations are coming. What is happening? The innovations are coming like at 10x speed, while the policy reforms are like just 1x. So there is a huge gap in here, and that is where what happens is, a lot of startup companies, a lot of early innovators, they somehow in the journey they start feeling tired, okay, when they do not get support, in terms of the regulatory reforms, the policies and the guidelines that we need. So definitely, if I can, I would say it's more of a request that if the government can look into this, to sort of come up with something that can expedite it. If not, at least you can give maybe some policy holidays for 2-3 years for any startup company. Let's say just like tax holidays, you say that any startup company, if you're doing something right thing and then maybe there is no regulatory boundaries for you for the first 3 years. Bring your innovation, do your proof of concept, bring it to the market, and if you are able to demonstrate that what you are offering is solving genuine problems, then we'll permit you. But at least let them try it, let them pilot it. Often what happens is a lot of startups they're not even to bring their product in the market because of the same ambiguity in terms of whether policy does not exist or whether it's in a gray area they have to operate. Because every innovation is all about like it's unprecedented. It was not done before. So it's natural there won't be any policy. Policy is always made when there's something exists. Okay. So there is always chicken and egg problem. Okay. There cannot be a policy if you want innovations to happen. But when innovations comes in, you say there's no policy, we won't allow. You are supposed to make the policy to make this thing happen. So if this gap can be bridged by an active role by the government, I think that will help the ecosystem tremendously. And there are very good examples. When you look at the US or China, the way the innovations in startup ecosystem has developed, there has been extremely support. You talk about very conservative communist Chinese government, but in terms of supporting innovation, these guys are like 100x far better than us in terms of moving and supporting these companies. So we can really learn from them. I mean, if you can't adopt exactly what they did for cultural reasons, for our own ego reasons, but at least we can learn something, and maybe help ourselves. I would say help ourselves means helping our country.
So you have worked in 6 continents. So in terms of expansion, would you like to take it to those continents where you have worked?
Absolutely. I mean, so what we are doing is not just the problem in India, but if you look at the developing countries, they all have the similar problem: poor infrastructure, very minimal infrastructure, inefficient infrastructure to meet their energy demand. I keep referring to energy demand because it's not just limited to petrol, diesel, but like literally any form of energy that we consume, whether it's EV, whether it's CNG, LNG, anything. The distribution and the last mile delivery, that infrastructure is not adequate. And with the rising population, especially in the developing economy, there is a need for innovative ideas like MyPetrolPump. Yeah, and that is how we see it. That sometime we'll also start our services and business model in those locations. Yeah, so
when can we expect Mr. Ashish Gupta flying to these countries and setting up any deadline?
So we are, well, in fact, as we speak, we are already talking to a couple of guys. So we are working on a couple of leads, even through a strategic partnership. How soon it will start is a little difficult to say because of a lot of logistic reasons also due to the COVID, and as well as practical reasons that there's a requirement of funds also that you need to have. And at the same time, I mean, there is still a tremendously big market that is available in India that what we are focusing at the moment. But yeah, there are some interest that has come on a strategic partnership, for countries like Hungary. We are evaluating an option. We are evaluating an option in Nigeria also, for South Africa. So these are the 3 places where actively we are talking to a couple of guys. And it could be the Singapore there's another lead that we planning, working on. So, it could happen anytime, but when it will happen, at the moment, yeah.
So you have the leads in these countries. What about India? Where are the leads? Now you have in Pune, Hyderabad, and Bangalore.
So right now we are in almost 14 cities in India. 3 big cities, 4 big cities, and about 10 smaller cities.
Which are the 4?
We are in Mumbai, Hyderabad, Pune, and Bangalore. We're working on to start Chennai, Mangalore very soon. And then we are in small cities like Mysore, Nasik, Vijayawada, Kakinada, and a couple of other locations like that. And unfortunately, because of the COVID, slowdown, the expansion plans got slowed down because of the mobility constraints. The deployment of team, could have been faster if there was no COVID. Also we have to consider the safety of our own staff and people, right? So we slow down on the growth, the geographical growth. But in terms of business, we have been doing pretty well. We had a dip on the business in April, March and April, but now we are back on pre-COVID level and growing almost 30% month on month now, almost 600% on growth. Yeah. So yeah.
So earlier it was 700%, now it's 300% come down during pandemic.
Yeah, but
was it 700% during pandemic itself?
No, so basically we were at a scale in February. We have already crossed that scale. So we sort of went into almost a V-shaped recovery, so to say. And now we are almost 600 to 700% growth now. Pretty much at a pre-COVID level. Business volumes are also before pre-COVID level, so we're doing pretty good in that sense.
So do you see the growth from here on? Because see, Amit Shah is, he has stated that from October 15th, some more relaxation will be there, lockdown.
Yeah. This is going to help ultimately. So from October 15, for example, a lot of schools are going to open, and then shopping malls and couple of other locations. And these are our hotspots actually. These are our very hot customers. We serve a lot of schools for their school buses, right? Shopping malls, tech parks, and a lot of business. These business premises, we deliver fuel for their generators. Yeah, so this is definitely going to give a decent push for even faster growth for us. And as the COVID restrictions are opened up or lifted, it is going to eventually help. It is going to help.
So from 700, it jumped to 1,400.
We could go even 1,200 also, 2,100%. I mean, currently our volumes are also not very high as compared to like big companies that you could say. So right now we're doing almost 10 crore rupees monthly business, and still minuscule. If you look at the market size is close to $98 billion, which is like 7 lakh crore rupees market. Okay, 7 lakh crore rupees, we're doing only 10 crore rupees. No, 100 crore rupees, annual business. So it's nothing. So in terms of opportunity lies way bigger, and the initial growth is not representative of your possible what you will achieve, but definitely it does help you to sort of reach out to a lot of key customers as soon as possible.
How long will it take to bounce back?
We have already bounced back, so that is what I'm saying. So we have already been through this V-shaped recovery. We are doing business more than we were doing before COVID. So we have already bounced back, and we had less impact, especially in only month of April and May, when everything was shut down. There was no mobility. But other than since June, we have resumed our business, to more than pre-COVID level. Already bounced back, already on the track. We were going absolutely, and its whole credit goes to my team who have. Even during the COVID, we have added huge amount of business, almost 6 million liters of business during the COVID, and 6 million liters of monthly business that we have added all during the COVID. That has helped a lot actually to sort of count down and to build upon that. So.
Talking of your team, I still remember you had very thin team. So now how it has expanded?
Yeah, so 1.5 years ago, we were only a team of 5 people. Still a bootstrap company at that time, and we were doing almost 3 crore rupees business, monthly business, almost 30 crore rupees annual business. And then we started sort of gearing up the team. We raised VC funding of almost $2 million. Now current team size is close to 40, and now we're growing further. In a year we might be even 100 people. If you include our drivers and operator, we are already 100 plus will be. And as we're growing, we plan to even employ more than 3,000 people in next just 3 years. We could go even faster than that. It's just all, how the COVID opening up, pans out. But we are very aggressive in our growth. As I said that even during the lockdown, we have added almost 6 million. 6 million is like almost 60 crore rupees business we have added during the COVID. So that all, credits to the team. The team has been very instrumental. Yeah.
So 30 crores, and you have been very smart that how much it will now, what will be
So right now we are sitting close to 100 some 30 crore rupees business now. With the current 60 crore rupees that we have added, it could go. I mean, so we are looking like more than 300 crore rupees in this financial year only. This financial
So
year.
how is it financially?
March to April next year.
March to April.
Yeah.
Okay, amidst this pandemic, a great news has come about. Earlier, you were partners with the OMC, oil marketing companies. Now you have all the right to procure fuel tank. So how big is this opportunity? Must be a relief for the sector.
Well, so for us, as I said, this current EOI is not new for us. I mean, we are already working with oil marketing companies, even from the beginning. So, from the oil marketing company side, there was never a challenge. Okay. This EOI is even going to sort of help us to accelerate fast, to grow faster. Because now this EOI will help us to even establish our presence for fuel delivery in remote locations. Earlier it would have been a bit difficult, not having the guidelines which are there in the current, the last amendment that has happened in 2019, May 2019. So it's like it has opened up the possibilities for all the sectors that earlier we were not available. So yeah, I mean it's a good move, and I mean, as I said, we have been part and parcel of this policy formulation. Myself have been, in the advisory committee, for the policy formulation. So yeah, so the reforms that has happened is all going to help.
Has it been completed or it's still under process?
No, it's out. It's out in May 2019 only.
Okay, so
Yes, almost a year now.
Granted, so you're into it.
Yeah, it's already out. The first amendment happened in 2019. The draft was, I remember my meeting at ministry was in February 2019. The first meeting for the policy was November 2018 or something. So first gazette notification was in May. Yeah. So
so you're being a part of larger mobility industry. So what is the potential of this landscape? Especially
it's huge. It's huge. If you put anything in the context of India, everything is huge. Mobility is a backbone of the economy for a developing country. So when we talk about mobility, whether it's mobility for people or mobility for goods, everything is required. Without the ease of doing business on the mobility sector, right policies, right support, right investment, the country cannot grow. And the mobility is one of the key vertical, I would say. And India is on a fast track on the growth, so there's a lot of emphasis on Make in India. There's a huge emphasis on manufacturing of products and services also. All that is going to happen when there is the infrastructure for the mobility. So there are a lot of investment in last 2 years only. There has been more than $5 billion investment in the mobility space, more than $2 billion investment just on the startups. Couple of startups on the mobility space who are building the products or services to ease the transportation management for goods and people.
out of that 5 billion, how much? What is the share of?
MyPetrolPump.
not your sector.
Our sector. Well, our
Fuel entrepreneurs.
Fuel entrepreneurs is a zero at the moment. I mean, if you count ours, we raised $2 million. That is the we can count.
So,
But it is going to come. It is going to come. It is going to be huge.
I read somewhere some 18 something crore or something. I read somewhere.
Yeah, so $2 million is about 15 crore rupees or something. Now we are working on our Series A. You will hear some good news soon. We'll share with you. So that could be another maybe 30.
No, that will be your first fundraiser.
That would be second fundraise for us.
The first
So
one was
first one was close to 15 crore rupees that we raised.
the investors. Who were the investors?
So our investors were Y Combinator and Venture Highway. These are US-based investors. Yeah, venture capital. Yeah.
So the
Right now-
next round for what purpose you are going to use it?
For the growth of the business operations, for the development of our tech, and also geographical expansion, basically unlocking new businesses from current customers, new business from new customers. We are also expanding our products that we offer, as a delivery. We are looking towards the annual service contracts also with a lot of residential complexes, through which we can tap into the other products and services that are required, not just a few. So a lot of things which are happening. Yeah. So once our Series A closes,
Okay. All the best in that part. So talking of products, is it possible to deliver petrol?
it's possible to deliver petrol. It's possible, but the current guidelines do not permit to deliver petrol in a very loose fashion, like through jerry cans or dabba, etc. But it is possible to deliver. The only challenge is that the users that you can deliver to petrol, they have to be static in the nature. They cannot be mobile, unfortunately, at the moment. And that is where there's still some work happening with the help of the Petroleum Ministry. And we may have some guidelines on the petrol also. Petrol is primarily B2C market. People like you and me who drive cars and bikes, etc. Their requirement is also very small, and the place at which they require is also not static. It's sometimes you need fuel here, sometimes you need fuel in other location, and sometimes you may need fuel on the road also. So at the moment it is not possible to do that, the delivery of fuel on the road, to avoid any traffic or any issues. So there are some guidelines being formed at the moment. But if you follow the current guidelines, you can still do petrol, but you may not be able to serve everybody. That is the only challenge. You may only serve static equipments, machineries, heavy machineries, or vehicles which are static in nature, which do not move.
So already you have big basket, Flipkart, I think Zomato also is there. Now,
Yeah.
apart from this, any other clients you would like to
We serve more than 1,500 B2B clients at the moment. We have more than 6,000 B2B clients in our pipeline, which we have signed up, just waiting for COVID restrictions to get lifted so that they can resume their business. And lots of customers we serve. I mean, apart from the fleet that is being run for Flipkart by Intertrans company, or even the Amazon, these trucks that you see, there are a lot of companies, Let's Transport or Orange Cargo. There are a lot of cargo companies. We serve a lot of tours and travel operators. SRS is our client, for example. They have more than 6,000 buses. Or you name it. I mean, at least in the cities where we are operating, we are serving a lot of big clients.
Why not the government departments?
We do serve government department. In fact, we have recently started serving some of the Bangalore police cars also in some locations. Now we are adding up a few more. So these what do you call this, traffic vans, pink colors or something. So we have started serving in some locations. We go to their parking and basically fill up all of them. and now we are slowly adding up more. So we do serve.
Police will require a lot of diesel, I believe.
They do. I mean, they patrol a lot and they do require. So yeah.
You're working on that also now.
We do. So we serve there, as I said. So they earlier again used to procure it from the fuel stations, but now they see a value in it, and we have started this. It has been helping them.
The value is in the sense of price, or can you explain? We know that
Yeah.
you add value.
Yeah, I forgot to mention we serve
Products
Bangalore
and-
Metro also. So Bangalore Metro construction, the lot of fuel that is required to move around the machineries. Simplex is one of the contractor for Bangalore Metro construction, so we serve Simplex basically. So we do serve a lot of government, companies or government sponsored projects also in that sense. The value is very important to understand. So fuel delivery not only offers the convenience of delivery, but the biggest problem that we solve is we eliminate the fuel theft. Fuel being a liquid gold, okay, and when the fuel is being purchased at the fuel station, then there is no mechanism to monitor it, how much has been procured and how much has been paid for and how much has been brought. So I'll give you 2 examples. So generally two scenarios. One
Drivers
is
are the main culprits.
drivers will collude with the operator, and then they will siphon off 20-30 liters very easily. I mean, let's say if you run a transport company, you have 5 buses, you will send your buses to some petrol pump to fill. Your driver will collude with the operator at the petrol pump. They will put in maybe 30-40 liters in some car before you, and they will continue the meter in the bus. And let's say if they have put in 200 liters in bus, you as a company will be billed 200 plus 30. So driver will bring back the receipt of 230. Okay, so 30 liters that is gone in the car, the driver and operator will basically share. So that is one way up. There are like multiple, as we are very smart people.
You are smartly evading the price factor. Is it costlier or?
We keep it the same price, but we help businesses save up to 20%. If you are saving up to 20%, which goes on this fuel theft, it is a huge saving. For a business, a small business, the fuel cost is the biggest wallet share of their expense. The rest comes whether employee salary, tires and other things. Fuel is the most expensive thing that they spend upon, and if you are able to save just 20% of that, you talk about crores of rupees of saving annually for just one business. And that is what we do. Second, I'm talking about, if you don't have a vehicle, if you are a business and you don't have a vehicle, then you have to send somebody carrying drums and barrels or jerry cans to bring fuel to the location where
That also they spend for logistics.
They spend not only for logistics, but there's no mechanism to monitor how much is being brought.
Pilferage.
Easily somebody can remove 20 liters from a 200 liter barrels, mix up with water. You pour the water goes and sits in the bottom. And this product is something that you never see. It's often been moved from one black box to another black box, right? So this siphoning this pilferage is the biggest headache for any businesses, and that is where we are helping. That we are bringing this fuel right in your place, and then we are delivering it right through the meter into your equipment directly. And then there is the whole technology element that I'm talking about, that we offer real-time visibility of how much fuel they have procured, how much they have consumed. Even we tell them how much mileage your vehicle or your equipment has provided us, so that they can detect any possible fuel leakages also in the system. And this is all with the help of tech that we do that, and we don't charge anything for that. And that's where the value is. So fuel delivery is, you can say, the backbone of the business, but actually we are a technology company that we offer the value through the tech, and that is not available when the users or these businesses use fuel stations to procure fuel. And that is where we come to sort of address this problem. And imagine I'm talking about like $100 billion worth of market, which is like 7 lakh crore rupees market. If you are able to save 20% of that, you're talking about 1 lakh crore 1,40,000 crore rupees of monetary value you have saved that can be utilized by the business on something else to generate or produce something else, right? So ultimately again helping in the India to be more efficient and then add more. So 1,40,000 crore rupees is added, used for generating other products and services. So it's an added benefit, whether it's in GDP or individually. So fuel delivery with the help of tech is very helpful. And we are not just looking after fuel delivery, but there are a lot of things that we plan to bring in, to solve the problems. Customers that we're talking, they need a lot of other things. And the same pilferage and inefficiency is there in other products and services they procure. And we're trying to bring everything under one umbrella so that they also don't have to look 20 different vendors, when they procure 20 different things. It can be done under one umbrella and that, or under one platform that is efficient and transparent. So that is our whole objective is. And you never know. In fact, so this is one thing I say that, the fuel delivery for the users. We're also working upon bringing a solution to even help the petrol pump guys also, who bring fuel from depots to their bunk with those big tankers. There's a huge pilferage in those tankers also. Okay, so we are trying to also, so that is called mid-mile delivery. So we are also working upon a product that we will launch soon to sort of bring all these some 1 lakh plus more than 2 lakh actually, more than 2 lakh tankers in India that basically make these trips to bring fuel from depot to the fuel stations. Bring under one umbrella, provide them the visibility, transparency, monitoring to make sure there's no chori, no fuel theft, no deviation and everything. Help them to save cost.
So working on that. You started this process of talking to them to convince them and enlighten them about this.
So we already know the problem. They also know the problem. So we are already working with more than.
For giving a solution, you must have.
Yeah, absolutely. We are already working with them. We are already working with more than 200 some fuel stations in these cities. But this product we have not launched it, but we are working on it. So we are still in the process of developing the tech. Also talking to the oil companies because there would be some interface required from them. So in that scenario, we'll help these guys also to save massive 20,000 liters is there in just one tanker, and if you easily remove like 100 liter, 200 liter, you would never know. Even your dip rod cannot measure that kind of losses.
I still remember those were the guys who doubled you and now you're going to find a solution to them.
That's what I'm saying. So like remember I said that if you're doing the right thing, people will understand at some point. Just to be there, they will understand and appreciate you, and people have started appreciating it. That we are not doing anything that will kill their business or their, we are building something that will help them also eventually. And we have been successful in that, and I hope to continue doing that. Yeah, so
we also hope that even RFA Post also hopes that your business grows, continues, and grows further.
Thank you.
So thank you very much, Ashish.
Thank you.
It's been great talking to you, and we expect that we expect more and more such interviews in the future. Thank you so much.
Sure, thank you. It's my pleasure being on this this video chat, and I look forward to do more chats in future as well.
Thank you.